Hello and welcome to English Learning. In today's video, I'm going to explain the second chapter from Ncert English Class 7 textbook. So without wasting much time, let's begin. Flowery Birth, written by Lotta Dempsey. Let's read paragraph 1 and 2. During King George VI and Queen Elizabeth's tour of Canada in 1939, Her Majesty sent the bouquets presented to her in Toronto to patients in the city hospitals. In the maternity ward of St. Michael's, where I was that day, each patient received a tiny white rosebud from a special bouquet in memory of her visit. Many years later, I gathered presents for my son's birthday and set out to have dinner with him, his wife, and small daughter in the suburbs. In these paragraphs, the narrator is saying that in the year 1939, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth toured Canada. Her Majesty sent the bouquets which she received in Toronto to the patients in the city hospitals, and at that time the narrator was in the maternity ward of St. Michael's Hospital, and she, along with several other patients, received a tiny white rosebud in memory of Queen Elizabeth's visit. And now many years have passed, and the narrator gathered some presents for her son's birthday and went out to have dinner with her son, his wife and daughter, who lived in the outer parts of the city. Now let's read paragraph 3 and 4. The young taxi driver was curt to the point of surliness and began driving at a dangerous speed. To slow him down without appearing cross, I said, "Could you take it a little easier? I have got some presents for my son's birthday today, and a few are breakable." "It's my birthday too," he said, "and nobody's giving me any presents." The tone was bitter. Now, the narrator says that she booked a taxi and noticed that the young taxi driver was very rude to the point that he drove at a very dangerous speed, and in order to slow him down, the narrator politely asked him to drive a little slow because she had got some gifts for her son's birthday, of which few were breakable. And then the taxi driver, in a bitter tone, told the narrator that it was his birthday also and nobody gave him any gifts. Now let's read paragraph 5 and 6. I started to talk and discovered that he was separated, broke, and generally fed up with life. I asked his age. "Why, you are the same age as my son," I said. "Where were you born?" "Toronto." "What hospital?" "St. Michael's." The narrator then built a conversation with the driver and came to know that he was separated from his wife, he had no money, and he was just fed up with life. She asked about his age and got to know that he was exactly of the same age as her son. She got very curious and asked where he was born. The driver replied Toronto, and then she asked about the hospital, and to her surprise she got to know that the driver was born in St. Michael's Hospital. Now let's read further. I said excitedly, "Then your mother and I were there giving birth to our sons at the same time. She must have told you." He broke in acidly, "She died when I was a baby." I leaned forward and touched his shoulder. "Would you like to know what it was like the day you were born?" My son liked to hear it. He relaxed a little and nodded. I described the scene, the crowds in the streets because of the royal visit, and my concern that the doctor wouldn't make it through the traffic jams. By the time I got to the Queen's bouquet of white rosebuds, we had arrived at my son's house. The driver pulled to a stop, turned around, and gazed at me with a strange and wondering look. He said, very, very softly, "Then that's what the dried up petals are in my mother's Bible. I always wondered." Now the narrator got excited and said that she and taxi driver's mother gave birth to their sons at the same time, and also that his mother might have shared this thing with him. Why she is saying so is because she has no idea that the taxi driver's mother is no more, okay? And then the taxi driver angrily replied that his mother died when he was a baby. The narrator then felt bad for him and offered to tell him about the day he was born, and she also mentioned that her son liked to hear it. The taxi driver nodded his head in agreement. Then the narrator described the scene. She told him about the day he was born. She told him that there was a huge crowd in the street because of Queen Elizabeth's visit, and narrator was worried that her doctor might not reach the hospital on time because of huge traffic. Then she was continuously describing about the day he was born, and she also mentioned that she received the bouquet from Queen's visit, but at that time they had already reached her son's house, and the taxi driver stopped. He turned around and looked at the narrator for a long time, and in low voice he said, now he understood from where the dried up petals in his mother's Bible actually came from, and he always wondered about that. This is how the story ends. I hope you understood the story, and if you like this video, then please do like, share and subscribe. And if you have any questions regarding this lesson, then don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching.